morning friends. In the previous classes we have been learning about different molding sands. These are the green sand, core sand, dry sand, loam sand, facing sand, backing sand and finally the parting sand. So, these are the different molding sands that are used in the metal casting. And regarding the green sand, we have widely learnt about the green sand. What are its ingredients, what are its components and what are its properties and how to test the properties we have learnt in detail. And the second important sand in the metal casting is the core sand. So, today let us learn about the cores and the core materials. What are these cores and what are the materials for the cores? What are the cores first of all? Cores are the objects that are placed inside the molds to form internal cavities of the casting. Suppose inside a casting, if we want a hollow cavity or a recess, right, we have to prevent the molten metal to occupy that particular region. So, we place a object which is made up of, generally made up of some special core sand in that particular region. Then the molten metal will flow around that core and afterwards we can break that core and we will get a hollow cavity or the hollow recess. So, that is the purpose and concept of the core. Now, these cores are the normally disposable items that are destroyed after solidification. Naturally, these are most of the times these are made up of the core sands and after solidification we have to break them and they will be disposed, right. So, cores are normally made up of core sands and are baked before use. So, we are going to learn about these core sands. So, using these core sands we will be making these cores in different shapes as per our requirement, and remember they must be baked, means they must be kept in ovens for prolonged time for gaining better strength. Then only we should place them inside the mold. So, here we can see say this is the section of the mold and the right. So, this is the drag box and this is the cope box and the molten metal enters this way. Yes, this is the sprue, the vertical passage is known as the sprue and yes, it reaches this sprue well. Then it passes through the horizontal passage. The horizontal passage is known as the runner. Then it enters into the mold cavity. So, this is the mold cavity. Now, inside the mold cavity it is a cylindrical one. We want a hollow cavity at the center. So, we have kept a sand core here. Now, the molten metal flows around the sand core and finally it rises through the riser. Once it rises through the riser, we stop pouring the molten metal. So, that is the concept of the core. Now, let us see another case, and here you can see. So, this is the molding system and this is the drag box and this is the cope, right, and this is the core and here we wanted a hollow cavity. So, this we made up of the core sand and we have kept here, and say one side it is supported in the mold, other side there is no support, that is why we have kept choplets here. So, in the previous class we have learnt about the choplets. Choplets means these are the metallic components, so to support the cores. And what happens during the pouring? So, the molten metal flows around these choplets and the choplets partly they will fuse and join with the molten metal and they become the part of the casting. So, this is another case. And here we can see this is another case and this is the pouring basin and this is the sprue, the vertical passage, and next the molten metal passes through the runner, the horizontal passage, and this is the mold cavity. And inside the mold cavity we wanted a we do not want a solid casting, but we want a casting with hollow cavity. So, here we have kept a core and here it is a steel it is a core, right, and here we have kept the set the core. So, this is the concept of the core. Now, let us see some examples of some castings where cores are used. And here you can see this is an automobile engine, the 4-cylindered engine, right. So, maybe in our Honda City, right, or the Maruti Swift, in all these cars there will be 4-cylinder engines. Now, this engine block is manufactured by casting. Now, what happens? Now, this we create a cavity similar to this shape. Now, this is the what say here we can see there is a what say hole is there, right. In all these we can see 4 holes are there. In all these 4 holes there will be 4 pistons will be reciprocating. Now, how to get these holes or these 4 cavities? We place the cores there. The molten metal does not occupy where we have placed the core and it flows around the cores. That is how after solidification we break the cores and we get the internal cavities. So, this is an important application of the metal casting where core is used. Now, here you can see this one, this is a what say electric motor housing, and inside there will be armature and coils will be there. Inside it is a what say big hole will be there, cavity. Now, see how this is made. Initially we make a cavity of this shape and inside we place the core. That is how we get the electric motor housing. And here we can see this is a pump housing, and again this is a casting, and inside there will be a hollow space will be there. How to get that hollow space? We make a core and place inside the mould cavity, then we get the pump housing of this shape. So, these are all the practical examples of the cores, and here we can see one more case. This is the centrifugal pump housing, and here we can see a hollow recess is there, and here we can see there is a cavity and hole, and again this is obtained by placing the core in that particular place. Now, we can see here this is another example. So, this is the spur gear manufactured by casting. Now, to manufacture this spur gear, so this is the pattern used. Now, when we take this pattern and put it inside the molding box, and when we make the what say cavity using this pattern, and after the formation completion of the compaction of the molding sand, we withdraw the pattern. Then what happens? There will be a mould cavity and there is no provision to get this kind of hole. Again, to get the hole here, what we have to do? We have to place a core here. So, this is the concept of the core. Next one, let us see the types of the cores based on the sand. There are different types of the cores and based on the different considerations. Firstly, when we consider the sand that is used, we can broadly divide them into green sand cores and dry sand cores. This classification is based on the sand that is used. First, let us see the green sand cores. Green sand cores are not typical type of the cores. They are part of the cope and drag, but still form an internal feature. Means these cores are not manufactured or they are not made separately. While we are making the green mold, that time itself this core is formed, but still it is forming a an internal feature. That is why it is known as the green sand core. Here we can see this is the typical green sand core, and this is the drag and this is the cope. Now you can see here the cope is extended like this. Similarly, the molding sand in the drag is extended up to here. Now here in this place the molten metal does not flow, and ultimately we get a recess or internal cavity there of this shape. But the thing is, we have not yet made a core separately. We have not kept a core separately in that particular location, but while doing the mold itself, while making the mold itself, this feature is created, means pattern is like this. So, this is the green sand core, means this core is made up of the green sand itself automatically, while the we make the mold. What are the disadvantages of the green sand core? Their major disadvantage is the lack of strength because they are made up of the green sand. Next one, it is difficult to make castings with long narrow core features using the green sand cores. Next, let us see the dry sand cores. Dry sand cores overcome some of the disadvantages of the green sand cores. First of all, green sand cores are not made separately. They are formed while we are making the mold itself. But the thing is, they have poor strength. So, when we make the cores with the dry sand cores have additional strength. That is how they overcome some of the disadvantages of the green sand cores. Next one, they are formed independently of the mold and then inserted into the core prints in the mold. We make the mold separately and we also make the cores separately. After making the mold, we take those cores which we have made with dry sand, then we insert into the mold cavity. So, that is the another feature of the dry sand cores. Next one, where these are supported, these dry sand cores, they are supported in the core prints. These core prints hold the cores in the correct position, right. Next one, they are made by mixing sand with a binder in a wooden or metal core box which contains a cavity in the shape of the desired core. And here we can see this is the typical dry sand core. Now, this is the casting we want, right. So, this casting internally it has got a hole here, an axial hole is there, right. The diameter is this much, an axial hole is there. So, this is the casting we want. Naturally, one can think that even the pattern will be of the similar geometry, but here it is not so. Let us see, this is the pattern used. So, somehow the geometry seems to be different from the geometry of the casting. Where? Because here we can see these projections, here we see one projection and here we see another projection. If we remove these two projections, the geometry of the pattern is exactly similar to the geometry of the casting that we want. Now, the thing is, why there are projections here? Because there are projections here, in the molding sand or in the mold, additional hole is created. You can see here, because of the presence of this projection, a hole is created, an extra hole this side and extra hole this side. These two cavities are used to support the core, or in those cavities the core is supported. That is why to the pattern we have made some modifications. So, this extra projection is known as core print. Core print means extra projection to the pattern. Not only the pattern, here we can see what is the core here. So, this is the cavity of the casting. So, the core means here from this point to this point we want a hollow cavity. So, core should be of this much size only from here to here. Why it is extended up to here? To support the core in the that extended hole. So, even this extended portion of the core is known as the core print. So, this is also this extended portion is the core print. Now, let us see the ingredients of the dry sand cores. So, these are the typical ingredients of the dry sand cores. One is the base sand grains, second one cereals or clay, third one organic binders. These organic binders can be vegetable oils or synthetic oils. First one, let us see the base sands of the cores. So, generally the base sands of the cores are either they can be silica sands or chromite sands or the zircon sands. Even these sands are used in the green sands also. Of course, we were using more sands like olivine sand. So, here it is not used. So, these are the base sands used in the dry sand cores. So, its main constituent, the main constituent of silica sand is silicon dioxide SiO2. It is considered of high quality when it contains only minor amounts of accompanying minerals such as feldspar, mica and carbonaceous minerals. So, these materials are present in the extremely small quantities, then it offers the better properties. Next one, the chromite sand. Its general form is iron chromium oxide FeOCr2O3. Next one, the zircon sand. Its general form is zirconium silicate ZrO2 SiO2. So, this is the comparison of the base sands of the dry sand cores, right. So, this is the silica sand, this is the chromite sand and zircon sand, and yes, so chemical composition we have seen. For silica sand it is the SiO2, for chromite sand it is FeOCr2O3 and for zircon sand it is ZrO2 SiO2. Next one, coming to the density grams per cubic centimeter. The silica sand's density is 2.65 grams per cc. Next one, chromite sand, it is from 4.4 to 4.6 and for zircon sand it is from 4.6 to 4.7, and this is the bulk density 1.52 to 2, 2.9 to 3.1 and for zircon sand it is 3.01. Next one, the melting point. Its melting point is for silica sand it is 1723 degrees centigrade and for chromite sand it is 2180 degrees centigrade and for the zircon sand it varies between 1900 to 1995 degrees centigrade. So, this is the comparison of the base sands of the dry sand cores. Points to remember when chromite sand or zircon sand are processed in a cold box mixture. What happens when we use the chromite sand or the zircon sand? They reduce the flow of the molding sand mixture, because we make a mixture generally we used to shoot inside the core box. So, these sands reduce the flow of the molding sand. Next one, due to the reduced flow of the these sands, an increase in the shooting pressure is required naturally, and say to achieve the identical level of the core compaction. Next one, finally, because we are using high pressure, the life of the these core boxes will be coming down. They also reduce the bench life of the molding sand mixture. Next one, if mixtures of chrome sand and silica sand are used, the flow is similarly reduced. So, this also applies to mixtures of zircon sand and silica sand. Next one, sequence of making cores. How to make the dry sand cores? First step is the mixing of the ingredients. Second one, packing of the core sand in the core box. Next one, curing, right. It can be by cold box, hot box or no bake type, right. In the cold box type, curing is done by hardening the binder by passing special gases through it like carbon dioxide. And in the hot box type, curing is done by baking the core in an oven between 200 to 250 degrees centigrade. And in the no bake type, no gas or heating is used. We mix some binder, right, and the moment where we place the core sand in the core box, immediately within few minutes it will be hardened. These are the types of the dry sand cores based on the curing. Previously we have seen based on the sand, right. Now these are the types of the dry sand cores based on the curing. One is the cold box cured cores. Next one, hot box cured cores. Next one, no bake cured cores, and finally the shell cores. First let us see the cold box cured cores. This is the procedure. Mix about 5% of sodium silicate binder with fresh silica sand. It should be fresh silica sand. Pack this sand mixture inside the core box. The core box will have the required cavity, right. So, the cavity will be similar to our requirement or similar to the core. Now, harden the sand mixture by passing carbon dioxide gas through it, and the carbon dioxide will be passed around the molding sand that is packed in the core box, and it will be hardened. And after that, withdraw the hardened core from the core box, and then we have to place it inside the mold. So, this is the procedure for making what is a core using the cold box curing. So, these are the cores made by the what is a cold box curing. So, that is also known as the sodium silicate process. So, these are the cores made by the sodium silicate process, where we harden it by what is a cold box process and also by what is a passing carbon dioxide. So, these are the cores. Next one. So, there is what we have learned just now is a what is a traditional method. Now, recently another method has come. Mix a little amount of polyol phenolic formaldehyde resin and polyisocyanate binder with fresh silica sand. Pack the sand mixture inside the core box. Yes, naturally the core box will have a cavity of the required shape. Into that we have to pack this mixture. We need not apply excessive pressure. Next one, harden the sand mixture by passing amine gas through it for a few seconds, maybe 10 to 20 seconds, then it will be hardened. Withdraw the hardened core from the core box, then the core will be kept inside the molding box. So, these are the what is the proportions of the binders in the cold box curing, which has been developed very recently, right. So, the usage of the binders vary with the season, right. So, the polyol phenolic formaldehyde resin, it varies 0.8 to 1.2% during summer season. It varies 1% to 1.2% during winter season. Similarly, polyisocyanate binder, it varies from 0.8 to 1.2% during summer season, and it varies from 1% to 1.2% during winter season. Next one, so far we have seen the cold box cured cores, means in this course, right, we use the cold box. Next one, hot box cured cores, let us see. So, this is the typical oven used in hot box curing, means we mix the what say ingredients of the cores and we place it inside the core box, and this will be kept inside the oven. Then what happens? It will be hardened. So, this is the simple principle of the hot box curing. So, these are the cores made by using hot box curing. Next one, let us see the no bake cured cores. What is the procedure for making no bake cured cores? Fine silica sand and urethane binder are mixed in a high speed mixture and packed in the core box. So, this should be, these ingredients fine silica sand and urethane binder should be mixed in a high speed mixture, and they should not be exposed to the what say atmosphere, because once they are exposed to the atmosphere, they will be hardened very rapidly. Next one, the sand mixture sets hard in a few minutes at room temperature. So, that is why once we mix this sand inside the high speed mixture, we have to keep the core box close to the high speed mixture, and we have to drop the sand, or we have to shoot the sand inside the cavity of the core box, and within few minutes that sand will be hardened even at the room temperature. Next, what are the benefits of this process? We get excellent dimensional tolerance, and we get better what say casting surface finish, but only thing is this binder urethane is expensive. Next one, so far we have seen these three ones, we have seen cold box cured cores, hot box cured cores, and the no bake cured cores. Now, let us see the shell cores. So, this is again a what is a recently developed process. Now, what is the procedure in the shell course? Mix fine silica sand with thermoplastic resin. Heat the metallic core box to about 230 degrees centigrade. Now, shoot the sand mixture into the metallic core box. Here a metallic core box is to be used. Now, what happens when we shoot the sand mixture into the metallic core box, which are heated about 230 degrees centigrade, shells will be created inside the metallic core box, because say they will be hardened, because the metallic core is heated above 230 degrees centigrade. So, shells will be created on the what say cavity surface, close to the cavity surface, right. So, shells are made in halves, which are then glued and clipped together. Means if we want a cylindrical core, two halves will be made, means two shells will be made. These two halves will be what say clipped together, or they will be glued together. The shell thickness depends upon the amount of time the sand is in contact with the heated core box. Longer the time we what say keep inside the metallic core boxes, larger will be the thickness. So, it all depends upon how long we keep inside the metallic core boxes. So, these are the typical shell cores. You can see here, yes, this is one half, this is another half. So, this is a what is a shell core, and again these are all the shell cores. We can see inside they are hollow, but externally they are offering us the required shape, required geometry. And the important benefit is they are light in weight and they can be handled very easily, and they do not consume excessive of sand. Now, these are the types of the cores based on their position. One is the balanced core, next one cover core, hanging core, ram up core, kiss core, vertical core, and finally horizontal core. So, these are the what say different types of the cores based on their position. Now, let us see all these one by one. So, this is a balanced core. Now, this is the mold, right. So, this is the drag and this is the cope. You can see here this is the mold cavity, and the molten metal flows around here, the molten metal goes like this, but how it is supported, and here it is supported like this. So, it is balanced core. Next one cover core. So, again we can see this is the mold and this is the drag and this is the cope and this is the core, this is the core, and the molten metal flows like this. In this region the molten metal flows like this, but the thing is the core, it appears that the core is covering the cavity, mold cavity, is it not? That is why it is known as the cover core. Next one the hanging core. We can see here, yes, this is the mold cavity and this is the drag and this is the cope, the molten metal goes like this. But there is a little difference between the previous one and this one. In the cover core and at the bottom there is what say no gap between the mold and the core, it is closed here, whereas in the hanging core there is a gap, that is the difference, and it is hanging from the top. So, that is why it is known as the hanging core. So, this is all this is the hanging core, right. Next one, this is the ram up core. This is, you can see this is the moldings, right, this is the mold and this is the core, this is the core, this is the core, and the molten metal fills this area, this part is the core. So, this is known as the ram up core. Next one the kiss core, and you can see here this is the molding sand, right. So, this is the drag and this is the cope and this is the core and this is the core. Now, what is happening? It is touching from what say it is starting from the cope box and it is touching the drag, or it appears it is kissing the drag box. So, that is why it is known as the kiss core. Next one the vertical core. Again you see here this is the drag and this is the mold cavity and this is the vertical core. Next one core coatings. So, we will see what are these core coatings. Purpose of core coatings. First of all, why we should give the core coatings? Core coatings help to achieve better surface finish, right, and they also help us to get the reduced defects, particularly surface defects, penetration, etc. And if the size of the sand grains are somewhat larger, and there will be some clearance between the neighboring sand grains, and the hot metal can penetrate into the clearance between the two neighboring grains, and that results in the penetration defect. So, when we give this this core coating, the possibility of the penetration defect comes down. Next one, refractory coatings provide a protective barrier between molten metal and the mould. So, they make a protective barrier, otherwise what happens, because of the very high temperature of the molten metal, the mould sand or the surface of the cavity may be damaged. This is the classification of the core coatings, right. So, these are the minerals of the core coatings. One is the aluminum silicate, second one zircon silicate, third one graphite. Here we can see carrier liquid, means we will mix any of these minerals with this carrier liquid. We can mix these minerals with water or also with the isopropanol. And finally, what is the delivery form? When we mix the minerals with the carrier, it can be in the powder form, or it can be in the paste, or finally it will be in the slurry. Means slurry means once we make the slurry, immediately it should be used, whereas once we make the powder and paste, they can be packed and they can be stored for some time. Now, these are the applications of the different core coatings. What we have seen different these one materials are there. So, these are the different core minerals are there, and what are their applications. Next one, first one is, if it is the zircon mixed with the alcohol, when the carrier is alcohol, it is used for the steel castings. Zircon, when the carrier is water, it is also used for the steel castings. Next one, aluminum mineral, when mixed with the alcohol, is used for heavy grey iron castings. Next one, there is another mineral, lamellar aluminum silicate, when mixed with alcohol or water, can be used for grey iron, aluminum and non-ferrous automobile castings. Next one, various refractory materials are there, and they can be mixed with water, and they can be used for gas permeable coatings for the full mould and last foam process. So, these are the applications of different core coatings. Next one, design considerations of the cores. How to design the cores, and what are the factors to be considered while we are designing the cores, and what are the precautions to be taken while we are designing the cores. Now, let us see. A core consists of two portions. Remember, the body of the core, right, one or more extensions called the prints. Suppose this red colored one is the casting. Now, internally we want a hole. So, to get the hole, we place a core there. So, this portion, in this portion we are placing the core. But see, here there is an extension and here there is an extension. There we do not want any cavity, nothing, but why the core is extended up to there? Because it will be supported here and here. If these supports are not there, it will be falling down. So, these extensions are known as core prints. The prints are necessary to support the core in the mould. They also enable transfer of heat and gases to the mould, right. So, these core prints transfer the heat to the mould. The print is an extension of the core body, usually along its axis, right. We have seen that the core has an extension that is along the, generally it is along the axis. So, this is the core print and this is also the core print. The print design depends on the direction of the core axis and the number of the openings. Next one, each opening corresponds to a separate print for core support. Next one, the print must balance the body so that the core stays in the place during the mold assembly, right. So, it must balance the body of the core. Next one, the prints should minimize the deflection of the core. So, this is the print and this is the print, and in between this is the core. The prints should be designed in such a way that the core should not deflect at the center of the cavity. Next one, unsymmetrical holes should have foolproof prints to prevent incorrect assembly. Now, let us see a case. So, this is the core. See, the core cavity is actually from here, this portion to this portion, and it ends here like this, only this much is the core portion, this much is the core portion, and certainly it needs core prints both the sides for supporting the core. Now, what is this rule says that it should have the foolproof prints, means the previously in the case we have seen say simple cores, a cylindrical core. So, that for the cylindrical core also there were prints. These prints were similar in the geometry. It does not matter you make the core and put it in this direction or reverse it put it in the other direction, does not matter. But here the direction is very important, and what happens if the core prints are of same geometry of what is same size, by mistake someone may place it in the other direction. So, this must be avoided. So, to avoid this chance of mistake, right, misplacing the core in the wrong direction, the core should have the foolproof prints, means this here you can see this is the print and here this is the print. Now, here the print is smaller and here the print is bigger. By mistake can someone change the direction and put it in the wrong direction? No. Even if he wants to do it, these foolproof prints do not permit him to place in the wrong direction. Why say here in this case we require foolproof prints? Because the design of the core is not same along its axis, it is different, it is continuously changing. If it is a simple geometry, yes, no need to have the foolproof prints. Next one, the print should maximize the heat transfer from the core to the mold. So, that is another rule. Next one, the print should allow the internal gases generated in the core to escape the mold, right. So, here some gases will be evolved inside the core, and the core must enable these hot gases to escape to the mold and ultimately to the atmosphere. So, generally we try to make holes at the center of the core. Next one, the prints of adjacent cores may be combined into one, and here we can see this is what say one core and this is one core, and these can be what say combined into one, and here you can see they are combined. And here we can see what is happening here, right. So, this is the select the type of the core, and here and the core print, and we have to select whether what say it should have two prints or one print or what say foolproof prints, and we have to decide. So, that is the first part of the core design. Next one, we have to visualize the forces falling on the core, and here we can see, and here the molten metal is causing the what say creating a force on the core like this, and there is another force, that is the buoyancy force here. So, all these we have to consider. Other considerations of the core sands: to increase the strength of the cores, internal wires and rods can be inserted. Internally along the axis we can what say insert the wires or the rods. To enhance the collapsibility, straw can be added to the middle of the core sand. Straw can be added, so it will enhance the collapsibility, and a hollow core can also be made. Generally, all cores require vent holes to release the gases. They are formed from the surface of the mold to the core using small wires. Finally, we will see the type of the core boxes. half core box, right, when the shape of the core required is such that it can be prepared in identical halves, a half core box should be used. The identical halves are glued together, means here we can see a simple core, right. So, we can make two halves using the same core box and these two halves can be glued together. So, this is the half core box. Next one, the split core box, and here we can see when the core box is in two parts and the complete core results in single ramming. So, there will be two boxes will be there. Yes, place the what say core sand in this gap and what say close the molding boxes. The excess sand will be coming out and we get the required core. Of course, we have to cure it before we take the core outside, and it has got the dowel pins. Next one, the split box, right, split core box looks like this. Next one, left and right core box, when the core is required in two parts and they are not identical, two different core boxes of half core type have to be provided for each part of the core. Such boxes are called right handed and left handed core boxes. Next one, the dump core box, if the core produced by the core box does not require any pasting and is complete in it, the box design is referred to as a dump core box, and here we can see a dump core box. Next one, Strickle core box. So, this is used when the core is required to have an irregular shape which cannot be obtained by any other methods. In this case, the desired irregular shape is achieved by striking off the core sand from the top of the core box with a piece of wood called Strickle board. This Strickle is cut to correspond exactly to the contour of the required core. And here we can see this is the Strickle core box and this is the core box. Here we place the molding sand, the excess sand will be strickled by a rod, striking bar. And these are the materials of the core boxes. Core boxes can be wood, made up of wood, they can be made up of wood along with plastic, they can be made up of aluminum and plastic, or they can be made up of grey iron. Finally, they can also be made up of steel. And here we can see these are the wooden core boxes. So, this is the pattern, this is the pattern you can see, right, and this is the core box, and here we make the core and this core will be kept inside the mold cavity that is made by using this pattern. Next one, plastic core box, and this is the plastic pattern and a cavity will be created and this is the core box, and here we make the core and this core will be kept inside the hollow cavity that is made using this plastic pattern. And these are the metallic core boxes. You can see here these are the metallic core boxes. Friends, in this lecture we have seen the importance and the concept of the cores. We have seen different types of the cores. We have seen that the cores are mainly divided into green sand cores and the dry sand cores. The green sand cores are made while making the green sand mold itself. We do not make that cores separately, whereas the dry sand cores are made independently and later they are kept inside the green mold. And we have also seen the classification of the cores based on the classification of the dry cores based on the sands that are used, and we have also seen the classification based on their position, and we have seen in this class the coatings made to the coating cores and the purpose and their applications. And finally, we have seen the different types of the core boxes and the core material, material of the core boxes we have seen. So, with this we are completing the cores and the core materials. Thank you.